The final season of Stranger Things. Yeah, here we are. 10 years in the making, you know, even though they're supposed to be 4 years older, but yeah. The conclusion to one of Netflix's most popular shows ever. Thinking about it, it might be the last TV event we're gonna have for a while. You know, when it is that so many people gather in to watch the same thing, because there haven't really been any shows of that magnitude for such a long time that have been running for such a long time as well. But will it have a huge impact? Well, no, I don't think so. To be honest, I think most people that are watching at this point are doing it out of either obligation or out of sheer curiosity of how it's going to conclude rather than actual investment. But who am I? No, according to TikTok, I'm just a hater of the entire show, so we'll see how it goes. Well, if you've seen either my previous video that I did of the entirety of Stranger Things, or any of the countless shorts and TikTok I put on the same topic that has gotten a lot of debates going around on the whole thing, then you would know that I am quite critical of this show. Despite enjoying majority of season 1 and the highs of season 4, there are just way too many issues for me to consider this show to be anything above average. But to be fair, after the terrible season 2 and 3, season 4 had some moments that were incredible. So maybe we were in for an upwards trajectory that would have season 5 be amazing yet again. So, episode 1 to 4. Were they amazing? Nah. No, not really. Unfortunately, what I'm seeing over here is a lot of the same issues that the previous seasons have had, with the lack of the great moments that we got in season 1 and 4. I mean, we still have contrived plots, characters being sidelined, characters acting out of character, characters that change for the worse, corny dialogue, lack of trust in the audience's intelligence, a strong lackage of stakes. So I'm not going to do a chronological breakdown like I've done on Pluribus or The Last of Us, for example. This is more going to be just a rant of a bunch of different things going, so tag along for the ride. Much of this season is actually centered around a new character called Holly Wheeler. Now, I say new because I'm not even sure she's been in the show before, and if she has, I don't think she had much speaking lines, and I'm also quite sure that she probably was played by a different actress at that point. And I know she's a kid, but being familiar with the Duffer Brothers' writing pattern, she is a new character that has arbitrarily gotten introduced and gotten quite a significant role, so you know? Now, I do want to give a moment, though, because I do think that she is incredibly portrayed by Nell Fisher. 14 years old, and expressing like this is mental. Now, it's weird, because the ending of Season 4 did give a bit of the vibe that Season 5 was going to be like a big standoff in the city. That the entire city is messed up by these cracks, and there was creatures, and Upside Down was going to mesh with the regular world, and, you know, that whole thing. But apparently, they just cover the cracks with metal plates. Apparently, that's something that you could just do. Sure. The town is also still populated. How? Why? With everything that's happened, I would have assumed that the city would have been evacuated 10 times over at this point. But no, apparently the city is like quarantined right now and forcing the Byers to live with the Wheelers. I would have assumed that they would have either gotten assigned a house or just not be allowed entry into this city that's clearly got issues. But also all of that, and the military has taken over the city center, but like, the school and everything is operating like normal. Like, how do they expect me to take this seriously when they add the line of,
I have a gut feeling there's a pretty good reason they'd like you to stay away.
Well, clearly fucking not, because the town is still populated and it's still operating like normal. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? Now, Dustin's role in this is trying to stand up for Eddie's memory that I do like in theory, because one of my issues with season 4 was that I felt like there was a strong lackage of acknowledgement of what Eddie did and his sacrifice and everything like that. But there's two things that I take issue with over here. A, he's walking around with the Hellfire t-shirt on, of course to honor Eddie's memory, but aren't the Hellfire Club the people that both the town and the police believe to be guilty of the sacrifices of Chrissy and Fred and Jason and everyone? Isn't those who they think sacrificed them? Because that's what we were told at the end of season 4, so how are the people that are known members of the club just allowed to walk free and even walking around with the merch of it?
Most recently, a string of high school students were killed in a series of ritualistic murders which have been linked to a local satanic cult known as Hellfire.
And B, the bullies over here feel so forced because don't they think that Dustin is part of the club that murdered Jason and Chrissy and made all of these sacrifices? Like, would they not be terrified of Dustin since he is an alleged murderer? Do you get what I mean? Oh, also, that scene is so fucking horrific. Not only are the bullies so lame, but also everybody walking down the corridor and saying these like schoolyard burns to each other and acting as if they're all tough. Like this was really painful to watch. It's also later on in the episode where they attack Dustin by Eddie's grave and they like emerge one-on-one from the woods, which is just hilarious to think about, that they all waited like a few 10 meters apart from each other in like a circle around the grave, waiting for Dustin to approach, and then like approaching one by one over like what are we doing over here? This is so fucking silly, this whole thing. Like, do you understand what I mean when I say that I can't possibly take this seriously? And it's also funny to see because the Duffer Brothers temporarily turn into J.J. Abrams, because they, just like J.J. Abrams got criticism for the sequel trilogy, they heard the criticism that they thought that 11 was too overpowered, so they then added like a training montage to justify this. The issue is though that Millie Bobby Brown, just like Daisy Ridley, is not really an action actress, and her running around doing these parkour and action moves and everything looks so extremely stilted and stiff, and the choreography and cinematography just make the entire thing look super fucking awkward. But also when they intercut that with the fake out of this other woman who's running through the woods being chased by the military. Why? Who was that? Why were they chasing her? What's going on? That's also a thing that we need to talk about as well, how they portray this military faction in these episodes. Actually, let me line out everything that we see of the military in these episodes. They chase a random woman through the woods thinking it's Elle. They let Murray enter their military facility using this silly fake ID. Multiple times, by the way. There's a bell tower overlooking their secret base that they don't want anyone to look into, and they don't put up any surveillance up there or seal the building off or anything like that. Our characters just have free access to that tower. Brilliant that. Our main characters managed to dig like a 3x3 meter broad tunnel going hundreds of meters underneath their base, going up into one of the buildings that have direct access to their base, and the military never noticed this whatsoever. Even later in the final episode, they dig back in and into this one very specific room in the container that has all of these kids. We also see 3 fully grown, military trained adult men that are struggling to push away 3 35-year-old 15-year-old kids that are standing on slippery wet floor. They cannot budge them. They also fight the Demogorgon by shooting at it with automatic weapons whilst surrounding it. Or like, I really want to stress how impossible I find it to take this finale seriously. Look at this. They are surrounding this thing with automatic weapons, spraying all around. Like, actually deep this. They are standing in a circle with automatic weapons. Every single soldier over here would be dead from friendly fire. Like, it's... I can't even speak. What's going on? This also gets awkward because the show has just concluded military bad. For some reason. I mean, they are hunting 11, but that's because they think that 11 is responsible for all the disappearing and chaos that Vecna is causing. So I get that they're like an antagonist in that way. But are we supposed to be fine with all of them being killed so casually? Like all the time? They're not even out to murder 11. They just want to capture her for the safety of the people of Hawkins. But in so many scenes, we have so many military men being killed so casually by both 11 and Hopper. Even this poor little scientist man. He's just a regular dude working over there that is tormented by Hopper, then knocked out and placed in this cupboard to be bait for the military men. So they just shoot the wardrobe thinking Hopper's in there, killing this poor guy. And then we just continue on with the fight like as if nothing happened. He did absolutely nothing wrong, but then he's murdered. And the show doesn't even acknowledge it. Now, one of my favorite characters throughout this entire show has been Steve Harrington. He went on a very interesting arc in the first season where he was characterized as this regular jock asshole kind of character. But the Duffer Brothers made the very wise choice of actually adding some substance to him and showing that a lot of his asshole behavior comes from insecurities to begin with, but towards Nancy it was because he felt massively betrayed because he was sure that Nancy was cheating on him. And he also punished Jonathan very fairly for taking pictures of Nancy and him where they were like naked together, but then showing him kind of grow past that whole thing and also just growing up so much as a person in the coming seasons. Then he turns into a guy who I guess is a bit of a womanizer, but it's not necessarily out of asshole behavior. It more comes from insecurities that he struggles being alone. And that's one of the main insecurities that he has worked to grow past in the coming season, much boasted from his very strong friendships together with Dustin and Robin. But also in the later seasons, we can see that he is still hung up on Nancy quite a bit, but realizing that that ship has sailed and is you know, ready to move on. Which made me quite happy because I started off really liking Nancy as a character and being quite annoyed with Steve, to feeling like I really like Steve as a character, and I feel like Nancy kind of stagnated after season 2. And to be honest, I also feel like she is actively dragged down just by proximity with Jonathan because of how horrific of a character he is. So... what the fuck have they done with Steve, man? He is actively competing in this dick measuring contest with Jonathan, and that is the only piece of character we get from him in these 4 episodes. This triangle drama got old in season 3. What the fuck is it still doing here? They even messed up his friendship with Dustin. The friendship between Dustin and Steven has been one of the strongest points of the entire show. I mean, they were always like bickering and teasing each other, but it was always with an immense amount of care and love behind it. If you saw episode 1 to 4 of season 5 in isolation, you wouldn't even know that Steve and Dustin are close to each other than Steve and Jonathan are. But that's not the only one. We now have yet another season where Mike is just a useless character. Like, he just barely gets up to anything in these 4 episodes. The only scene that sticks out to me is his conversation with Holly at the school in the first episode. She speaks about Mr. Watson and that he's told her that there are monsters around in Hawkins, and Mike says this.
Monsters aren't real, Holly.
Mike? Kindly, fuck you. You know what it's like to not be believed about this stuff. You know what it's like to feel alone after experiencing something supernatural that you can't explain to other people. You should not be talking to your sister this way. She's not gonna be protected by being lied to that there are no monsters around, and you of all people should know that. But also, why does Mike not clock that this is Vecna? Because they talk about that Holly has seen this guy, this mysterious being, that other kids have seen as well. Like, this is Vecna. Like, why do they act as if they don't know already that this is Vecna? It was so confusing to me when they ended episode 2 and it was treated as a reveal that it was Vecna. I get that something is predictable in something, but I didn't even clock that that was a mystery. I thought that we just knew that, because I feel like it's so blindingly obvious for both the audience and the characters in the show. But for some reason, they only figured this out at the end of episode 2. Now, this is actually an issue that goes on throughout the entire show, but how do they have all of the equipment they have? Like, they have all of these vans, radios, antennas, walkies, crazy equipment, and freaking guns. Is that something that Murray has gotten from his bullshit military smuggling? Because how the fuck have the military not noticed such huge quantities of equipment being stolen from over there? Oh, wonderful, another issue with the military. But also, now they have an entire freaking radio tower just for themselves. Are they like renting this for the radio show, the Rock and Robin show? Because this radio tower also apparently have a secret basement. What the fuck is, what are we doing here? Like, do you get what I mean when I say that it's impossible for me to take the show seriously? How do they have all of this? Now, the cliffhanger of episode 1 will leave you very hooked on what it is that's gonna happen next. Will it take Holly or not? Until you see the episode title of episode 2. Like, the vanishing of Holly Wheeler. Oh, well, she's taken then. So then the entire opening fight sequence of episode 2 is just, well, we know that she's gonna be taken, so what the fuck? Then the fight show Holly be thrown in a way that should kill her, but doesn't. Then the dad gets attacked in a way that should kill him, but doesn't. Followed up by Karen being slashed in a way that should kill her, but doesn't. But before that, the Demogorgon is almost stopped in his track by a drunk, middle-aged woman with a sharp object. What are the Demogorgons? Like, I keep thinking back to season 1 where it was that you saw one of these in the shadow and it was scary as fuck. Now, they're just standing over there, full CGI and everything, and I just feel nothing. Again, a Star Wars parallel as well. Take the original trilogy, you have one Star Destroyer, it's scary as fuck. Then you hop to the Rise of Skywalker where you have a million of them, it's just like, well, this is nothing to me now, innit? So now these Demogorgons show up and they're almost stopped by one sniper bullet or a sharp object, as opposed to other times where they are completely bulletproof and unfazed by about 1,000 assault rifle bullets shooting at you from multiple different angles, and they're just fine. Yeah. This is what I mean when I can't take this shit seriously. Now, in the hospital in episode 2, I think it was, we do get a sequence that I think is quite fantastic of when it is that Nancy arrives at the hospital and she goes to the bathroom to try and wash away the blood off of her hands. The cinematography, the editing, the directing, the sound design, and the acting, like, it all blends together in quite a horrifying sequence, but it feels super powerful and you really get the emotion coming from Nancy in this sequence. Yeah, That's one sequence that I thought was quite brilliant. We're also now redoing the Hopper and Eleven arc from season 2, where it is that Hopper is overprotective of Eleven, and Eleven wants to go out and do her own thing, and they just argue in between that. It was lame then, and it's still lame now. Funnily enough, this made me think of Infinity War. In that, we also have the adoptive father relationship in between Tony Stark and Peter Parker. In the opening fight, Tony made multiple attempts to try and protect Peter from not getting involved in the fight, trying to send him back to Earth and get him off of this ship that is clearly a death sentence, you know? But Peter continuously is clinging on to this fight because of his desire to help in this situation. Eventually, there is a point of no return. At that point, of course, Tony gets very upset to begin with, but he then also realizes that the damage is done. Tony trying to protect Peter that much from there going forward is just not going to serve any purpose. From that point on, they fight as teammates. But Hopper keeps holding Eleven back so many times, and it's just long at this point. Now, these episodes are jam-packed with plot armor. Now, the main characters have been kitted out with plot armor like crazy throughout the entire show. It's one of the main criticisms of the show. But here, it's fucking nuts. Hopper and Eleven survive 4 assault rifles fully spraying in their direction, and they're behind, what, 2 layers of wood? And they're fine. And on top of that, just a minute later, there's 2 fucking grenades that blow up just behind this wall. And the wall is still standing, and they're fine right behind it. Which is funny to compare to how one grenade affected everything in Pluribus that I just reviewed. Go watch that, as it is a much superior show. All of the fights that they have with the soldiers and the Demogorgons, also them being saved in the last second multiple times over. Actually, speaking of that specific one, when they hit the Demogorgon and it kind of rolled over the car backwards, wouldn't that fuck up the antenna on top of the car? I mean, if they hit it like that and the Demogorgon gets fucked up and flies over, then the antenna's gone at that point, innit? Joyce is also all over the place in these episodes. Like, at first she is furious at the idea of putting Will in any kind of danger, but as soon as it's Derek's life and everyone in the house during the Home Alone sequence, then she's fine with that. That's alright.
Now's not the time to play it safe, Jonathan.
Bitch, what the fuck do you mean? That's literally what you wanted to do me a minute ago. So yeah, there is the side plot of them kidnapping Derek and working together with him and this whole thing. And to be honest, I feel like Derek is a personification of how impossible it is to take this shit seriously. He is just way too over the top, spoiled, disgusting kid. Like, they even went out of their way to cast a fat kid and joke about him eating lots of pie. Like, come the fuck on!
Fatty McFat. Probably from all my farts. Mom can suck a fat one. Suck my fat one!
What?
Stranger Things 5, written and directed by an adult. Actually, whilst I'm on that storyline, there are a lot of moments throughout these episodes that just show a blatant disregard for other people and their properties. Like, I get it, Derek's a piece of shit, but they poison and kidnap his entire family, and then they chainsaw a hole in his freaking living room, and they shoot shots and fire and everything inside of this house. Then later, you ram a car through multiple people's backyard, wrecking their fences and gardens and everything. Like, I get that they're fighting more important things. I get that. That's not the issue that we're having right now. I'm just feeling like neither the characters nor the show itself show any type of regard for the damage they cause to other people. Well, I said it in my last video, and it came through. Max is alive. How does this show expect me to take any of this seriously? You fake out deaths as if it was freaking transitions, and then when you actually kill off characters, you just undo that. Like, have you guys heard the numerous theories around that Eddie's gonna come back at some point in season 5? Like, bro, this is the issue. No deaths mean anything anymore. And to be honest, this season is in a lose-lose situation right now. The Duffer Brothers have gotten criticism for 8 years of never killing off any of their characters. So in this season, they have talked about and almost promised that they will kill off characters. Now, if they don't do that, it will cause a rally and they will be called cowards by the audience and that whole thing, right? But if they do actually kill off some characters, it just won't feel earned because A, it's so expected, and B, characters come back from death all the time, so what the fuck are we doing here? But Max is alive in this desert alternate dimension, which is Vecnas memory, I guess? Which look fake as fuck, to be honest. But we're all thinking the same thing here. How is it that Max is here?
How am I in here when I'm in a coma in Hawkins General? That's a very reasonable question. We should get going.
I'm speechless. How am I supposed to take any of this seriously? Like, what are we doing here? At least with 11 in season 2, they tried to give some reason of her fighting her way out of this other dimension thing, which I also didn't like, by the way. But here, they straight up address the question and have a Russell interrupt them. I'm actually like, oh, what the fuck are we doing here, man? But Max is back now, and holy shit, are they capitalizing on the popularity of Running Up That Hill from season 4. Because they play that song over and over in pretty much all scenes with Max in them. That song, specifically that song, has a huge meaning and impact in season 4. But in season 5, it's just Max's theme song. They just played that whenever she's on screen. Well, speaking of not being able to take this show seriously.
Dick.
What?
And they put Dick in the washroom. And personally, for us, I like Dick.
Say we go with Dick.
You finally hit Dick?
Hit the dick, yep. Let's just hope it's not too hard. If it is, I'll soften it.
Like, what we even doing here at this point? Like, what the fuck? Oh, what the fuck is this? What is this? Written and directed by adults. Adults have made this. What the oh my god. This is like reminding me of that Max Fosh video where he's like, oh yeah, I hired some 5-year-olds or some kindergartners to write my stand-up jokes for me. It feels like that, innit? Now, one of the bigger parts of these episodes is how they leverage Will being closeted as a thematic element of how Will discovers his powers. Now, I don't hate this through line, actually. Will has been closeted throughout the show. I think it was in season 3 that we found that out. Something that we haven't really done much with, except for some longing looks towards Mike in season 4 that had fucking no significance. But having that be crystallized by Robin, I think there's quite a bit of substance there. And it might be an unpopular opinion, but for me, it was actually absolutely enough with all of the setups that we had gotten and everything for that Will has powers. As long as they keep it restrained for the rest of the season. I don't want Will to head in the same OP direction that 11 is. They also bring back the X-Men sister. Wow. Yeah. Top 10 things I didn't expect the Duffer Brothers to do. Ripping open one of the biggest wounds to your fandom that you ever created. Yeah, it's very brave of you. I mean, let's fucking see what you do with it. It does worry me though. Because are we just building up to a moment where they win their fight against Vecna because they have more power people? Like, is that it? Is it really going to be that simple that Vecna v 11 is a Vecna win, but Vecna v 11 and Will and Sister is going to be good guys win? Like, is that all we're gonna do? Is that gonna be the final standoff? But yeah, so Vecna shows up in the finale, and Vecnas Entrance over here is, like most other things, quite difficult for me to take seriously. Because we see that his telekinesis is absolutely insane here. He can do mental things with barely moving his body. Which get awkward to think about the scene where Max ran away from him just a few scenes ago, and he didn't do anything. Which, you know, gets extra awkward when you think about the running up that hill scene from season 4, eh? But also that every now and then when he's walking around, they just add the sound effect of him, like, snoring or, like, breathing, but it just sounds so goofy of him walking around like... Yeah, anyways. But then Will does the thing. Why does Vecna just come back and fuck Will up? I mean, Vecna's part of the hive mind, so Vecna would obviously be able to tell that Will stopped the Demogorgons in their respective spots and is controlling stuff over there. So why does Vecna not just come back and fuck him up over there? I don't know. So yeah, all of that is super silly to me. However, the face kill is awesome. The face kill is quite cool. It's quite cool to have a Mortal Kombat moment in the middle of all this, yeah. And then ending off with Will doing the nosebleed wipe, just like 11 does. Oh, it's also corny, man. Yeah, episode 1 to 4 of season 5. Yeah, it's concluded. The thing is, I've gotten more views on my TikToks than ever before on Stranger Things because people have been flaming me over there. Clearly, I have a lot of hot takes on this entire show, but I just don't see how you can take this seriously. Like, the stakes are obliterated, no one stays dead, and then their jokes are written by 12-year-olds. So yeah, that was that. Happy Thanksgiving to all of the Americans out there that saw this whole thing. I guess I'm returning for this one on Christmas Eve, and then on New Year's. Why, Netflix, why the fuck are you choosing to drop this around the holidays? I mean, I guess the family is gathered for this everything, because this very much is a family show, so I guess that. But, you know, for me who wants to review it, it does add an extra task to days that I'm supposed to relax on, which is not ideal, so I'm gonna have to edit my review on the finale on fucking New Year's Day, or I'm gonna be hungover as poop. So yeah, but if you enjoyed my rant on this, you will most likely enjoy my rant on season 1 to 4 as well. And you can also at the same time check out some praise I've done, like for Pluribus recently, and talked about weapons and, you know, a few different things. So thanks for checking in. I'll chat to you next time. See us.